Nice to the extent of, well, you're gonna have speakers, you have stage, platform, and all these things. We're here, and again, we're here simply to meet and greet, and I appreciate the good words, the kind words, all the thank yous. I'll tell you that what I did in Guyana in support of the motion of no confidence tabled by the PPP, it was not because I crossed the floor. It was because I wanted to do something for the people of Guyana. And when I say the people, I mean particularly the working class. And the working class does not mean the members of parliament on the government side. I'll tell you this, when Wales Estate was closed, it was a blow to several sugar workers who have families. They were not even paid their severance pay until November 2018. That's another thing. We don't have unemployment benefits in Ghana, you all know that. When you lay off sugar workers or any worker, they're on their own. They have to still feed their families. They still have to send their children to school. My brothers and sisters, I spoke to Moses Nagamutu, the Prime Minister of Guyana. You always ask people, or ask him when you get a chance, why they're calling him the rubber stamp. He is a rubber stamp. Now, I asked him, I said, are we going to do anything? Because I understand that the sugar estate in Rosal and Curtin will be closed. That will put an additional few thousand people out of job. I said, look, people are confused. They don't know what to do. You know what Moses Nagamutu said to me, a man who claims he represents the working class? He said, Charan, when they voted PPP, they didn't seem confused. And so what was I supposed to do as a member of parliament, member of the AFC, a backbencher, when you speak to the highest member in the AFC, and that's the answer he gave you. I waited, I wanted to do something. The constitution in Ghana is a different one from what we have outside here. We don't have constituencies where you're voted in that particular area, so you hold your seat. It's a list of elected members. And from that list, you are selected by the president to sit in parliament. And so anytime you say something or vote against a bill tabled by the government, you're removed. Tradition has it. Jay Guntan, the PPP, the PMC, through Boredom, and all these other dictators. You cannot and did not vote against party. And so if you continue to vote along party lines, you're a good person. It didn't matter that Charandas Prasad is a Canadian, and I'm not going to deny that. I travel on a Canadian passport when I come here. I still hold a Canadian passport. Canada and Ghana alone, dual citizenship. The Constitution does not speak to dual citizenship. It speaks to your loyalty to the state. That is all. Now, we will leave that because that's a long story. I will say this. If I had voted no, and so the government would have gotten 32, and 33, and the opposition left with their 32, it would have been great. Motion defeated. Now that I voted yes, supporting the opposition's motion, defeating the government's no vote, I'm all this bad person. I'm this evil creature. They're looking to nail me for treason. Well, they've tried all that they can try. And one of the judges said, then they don't bring this chipping is about 34, is a majority over 32, because I can count. 33 is a majority over 32, that's what it is. It's not like a simple and absolute majority. It's just a majority and then there's 2/3 majority. So we will leave that for now. My brothers and sisters, again, I thank you for coming out, and I let you know that what I did was not, as they're claiming, I was bribed to do this, I was coerced. Nobody forced me. That's the first thing. Nobody offered me any money to do that. Right now I'm concerned about paying my bills. The Jeep they said that I sold, which I bought at a duty-free thing, I still have it. I still have a mortgage to pay it, well, a duty-free vehicle, but I had to pay a loan at the bank for it. I'm concerned about that. I'm worried about that. But that's their claim. I was negotiating to buy gold. What's wrong with that? I have clients who want to buy gold. As a lawyer, you can make all kinds of negotiations. There's nothing wrong with that. And so they've tried, several attempts have been made and failed. I will leave you with just the one blatant, stinking, sick, praiseworthy or praise-seeking lie that Kemraj Ramjatan the Minister of National Security offered. Here's what he said. I provided, and you all will know this, I provided security to take Charandas to the Cheddi Jagan International Airport. And then later on, his findings showed that Charandas was driven to the Ogle Airport by a white man who later on was identified as a Canadian diplomat in a DPL vehicle, meaning a diplomatic vehicle. So, and I flew from there to Barbados. Now, if he took me, his security took me to Cheddi Jagan, how did I end up flying out of Ogle? The man is a sick liar. That is what they're doing. And his own findings show that, you know, not me. My brothers and sisters, I don't want to bore you with any political gaffe. I did what I did because I was fed up with the government, particularly the yes men in the AFC who supported almost blindly the PNC regime, and we were going to go back to the days of Burnham. That I did not want to happen. It is not about race. It is not at all about race. Because not only Indian people work in the sugar estates, a lot of black people are being laid off. There's a guy from Rumvelt who was a businessman, and he met me in a car dealership and said he had to give up his car. He couldn't continue his business because of all the taxes that have been imposed. All kinds of atrocities against the entire nation. That was what I voted against. I voted to stop that. And many of you may still feel like supporting the AFC. You may even be APNU supporters. You know what? If you're going to judge me, take your time and look at what happened. Look at what is happening now. And all I did was I voted in support of a no confidence motion. I didn't do anything else. And if that is so criminal, you will judge me. They may want to charge me. Let's see where it goes. But all I'm saying to you, I did this because they were bullying and destroying lives in Guyana of honest, hardworking people. And thank you for coming. We're going to try a thing with a song.